Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Logan's Movie Reviews, and today we are talking about Moonlight from 2016. And who is the director, and who are the principal stars of this movie?
The director of the movie is Barry Jenkins. He also wrote the screenplay, and he won the Oscar for Best Screenplay, was nominated for Best Director but didn't win, and this movie won Best Picture. And the stars of this movie is Trevante Rhodes as the adult Chiron, and a great, phenomenal, understated performance by one of the great actors of this generation, Mahershala Ali.
And he won the Academy Award as well, right?
Yes, for Best Supporting Actor.
Right, so great performance here by him. And
everybody was great. Naomi Harris was great as the crack addict mother, and Janelle Monáe was great as the girlfriend of Mahershala Ali, who was a mother figure to Chiron.
Yeah, they were both the father and mother that he never had.
Yes, right.
And we never find out what happened exactly with Juan. This guy who
Juan died, but they didn't say how he died.
Right, which is interesting. They left that out. I thought he was going to play a much bigger role in the movie, but then they just kind of jumped ahead. And he
was so great in his 15 minutes that you were begging for more. He's only in Act 1, and I guess it had to be that way because they don't bully him if the man is still alive, because he's the drug lord of the neighborhood. If he's not dead, right, they don't mess with Chiron as a teenager. But I mean, it's open season on Chiron after one is dead.
Totally. So we have here this guy Juan, who. He looked like he was of Cuban descent in the movie.
Yeah, he said he was born in Cuba and came over as a little boy, and I mean, words cannot express how great an actor Ali is. He is just tremendous, and he, like Lawrence Fishburne in the early '90s, and Idris Elba in The Wire and other movies, brings a humanity to a bad guy. He's a bad guy. He's a drug dealer. He's selling the crack that Chiron's mother is smoking. Yeah. But, I mean, the way, the charisma he has and the way he deals with Chiron and the way he saves Chiron's life and feeds him, this must be stated. He doesn't bring him into the fold. He doesn't bring him into his criminal activity. He shields him away from that. Ali is just sensational as that character, and it's the only flaw of this movie, in my opinion, was them killing him off so quickly. I wish he could have been there through the whole way. But then again, if he's not, his absence is missed because Chiron ends up the way he ends up because
he died.
Of one's absence.
Yeah. So we have here him. We see him clearly. He's like a drug lord in that area. Juan is, and he hears about it, or he sees a kid hiding out one of the cracked out places, and this kid doesn't look like he's really on the street because he's wearing a uniform. But he is, unfortunately, just the product, the son of a crackhead. And it looks like his dad is not around. And the men that she's dealing with are not his dad. Don't you think that's true?
No, she's selling her ass for crack. She a crackhead. Right. She a crackhead hoe. So, you know,
she's a crack hoe.
Men coming she a crack hoe. There's men coming in and out of his house.
Okay. So he finds this kid, and this kid does not want to say doesn't want to talk. He's just completely silent for a whole night. He takes him out to go get something to eat. He won't talk. And then he
by the way,
takes him.
The young actor that plays that plays young Chiron. His name's Alex Hibbert. He's one of the stars of the great Showtime series, The Chi, and he also was in at the end of Black Panther. He's the little boy at the end of Black Panther that is shown, that the Black Panther shows something that he's building in Oakland in his old neighborhood. So that young man is going to be a superstar. He's a tremendous actor, and he plays that quiet, I don't want to talk, there is something haunting me, I have something wrong with me, to the T.
Yeah, it's great because he evokes the emotion that he needs to just through his eyes and the way he holds his face. Mm-hmm. So it's some great acting. He should have won, but there's only a few awards to go around. He'll get his though. He's a great actor, that kid.
Hey, all three actors that played Chiron were tremendous. And what I love, and you'll see this if the audience hasn't watched this movie, cut this and go watch the movie, then come back and listen to the replay. But all three actors kept the same tone of voice. Look at Trevante Rhodes, who plays the oldest Chiron. Look at the young actor, I forgot his name, that plays the teenage Chiron. And Alex Hibbert, who plays the young Chiron. They all have the same facial expressions. They all have the same type of speech pattern. It's like they studied each other in order to make sure that the authentic characterization of the character went from ages 8 to 25.
Yeah. The way they would get shy about stuff, you could tell.
Yes.
They all coordinated how they would show that, and they did the same way. So, yeah, even though they didn't look too much like each other, you could see that they were actually the same person just by the way they were acting.
You think that this movie was shot over a 20-year period.
Right.
With the same actor.
Yeah. So they had his, so he's there, he's a kid, then after they go eat at the diner, he takes this kid to his house, to his girlfriend, and she's very motherly towards him. She tells him it's okay, you take your time, you don't need to talk, you can talk when you're ready. And that's when he finally says...
Played by the very naturally beautiful and talented R&B singer Janelle Monáe, who unfortunately, man, is a lesbian in real life.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
That's unfortunate.
That might be the saddest part of this whole movie.
That's the saddest part of the movie.
So she's very good to him, and he opens up and he says, "Listen, my name is Siobhan. What's his name?
Chiron.
And it doesn't say much except that people call me Little, and she's just like, well, I'm going to call you by your name." And he takes her. He finally opens up to where he lives, and Juan takes him back, and his mom is there, and she's obviously something's wrong with her. And we find out later she's way into the crack, and she's kind of angry about him having the kid, but she kind of feels guilty too, just because she didn't know where her fucking kid's at, and she didn't seem to be like looking hard for him either.
She wasn't. No.
So when he finally comes back,
she'll look for the pipe before she look for her son.
Yeah, she just kind of doesn't even say anything to the dude and takes her in, and he's just like, "Oh, come on, what's going on?" And he's kind of concerned, but he leaves her to his mom, and then we see that he's come back to see this guy again, and he teaches him how to swim, and we see
that was a very touching scene, because when you first hear about this movie and find out that the theme is a young man struggling with his homosexuality, you're looking at this as like, oh no, this is not where he gets molested or anything. That's the thing I'm fearing when I first saw this movie in the theater 4 years ago. I'm like, no, please, I can't, because Ali's very charismatic and did in the real Roxanne movie where he molested the young rapper Roxanne Shante. Ali as that character, he's so smooth with it that you're like, God, why? So when I'm watching this, I'm like, no, don't tell me he's going to molest this kid in the pool. But no, he's treating this boy as a son, as the father this boy never had, teaching him how to swim, and it's very tender, very loving, and thank God, no pedophilia involved, just a man looking out for a young boy who needs a father figure in his life.
Right. And he's telling him, he's giving him advice. Stuff like, there's black people everywhere. Everywhere you go, you're going to find black people. Remember that. Which is comforting to people who already feel alienated in this country for being black. So I thought that was an interesting
because he was
statement.
like, look, I'm from Cuba, but I'm black. I'm a black Cuban.
Right.
And,
a lot of black people
you
out
go,
in Cuba.
you always, and he talks about, wherever you go, you're always going to find black people.
Yeah, it's great. So he's reminding him of that, and then he says, tells him a story about how he was running out in the middle of the night, and this old lady came up to him and it's just like, you know what, you always running out here at night, and I'm going to call you Moonlight, or no, I'm going to call you Blue, because that's what black people look like under the moonlight. And I guess that's where we get the name of this movie.
Oh, you also get that's an old term. What was that? What was the term that my father said? He's so black, he's blue. You're so black, you're blue. With a dark skin, so you're so black, you're blue. So that only makes sense. Yeah.
He's like, so your name is Blue? And he's like, no, man. It's just like, he's saying basically you should determine what your nickname is, not anybody else. That's the lesson of that story.
Yeah, because everybody was calling him Little. And he's like, you don't have to take that as your name. Yeah.
Right. You got to make that call, when the time comes. So they go back.
Which is interesting, because when he's a grown man, he takes the nickname Black.
Which was given to him by Kevin.
Right.
But in any case, he goes back to his mom. This time his mom just grabs him, slams the door, tells him to shut up, grabs some drugs off the table, and goes into the bedroom. And so that's where we see she's a crack hoe for sure. Then
and she's got a man there with her as well.
Right. So then we see this scene where he's in his school and the kids are showing each other their dicks.
Yeah, I hate that. Yeah.
I mean, we've all done stuff like this as adolescents.
Yeah, but I guess it's a part of it's a part of childhood.
Right. But this is probably when he first started sensing that he might be gay. Then we go back to his house, and he sees that the TV's gone because his mom has sold it for crack.
Yep.
And we see that he kind of takes care of himself in this house. He makes his own bath, and he sits in it by boiling water because the hot water's turned off. Then we see that we see this Juan. He's holding down the street. He sees one of the drug dealers there, and he's talking to him. And then he looks over and he sees people doing crack in a car, and it turns out to be the mom,
Sharon's mother.
And she's taunting him. She's like, "What? You gonna raise my son? You sell me this rock? Are you gonna tell him that? Are you gonna tell my son that you sell me the rock that I smoke?" And she smokes it right in his face and just laughs at him. And he's just like, "Get the fuck out of here. Go home." And we see she starts yelling at him, and she's just a mess. You could tell that that's why he ran away. I mean, is no way to live for a kid. But he goes to school, and meanwhile, while he's going back at school, they're fucking with him all the time, calling him gay, just teasing him.
Mm-hmm.
He's being bullied like he's like the most bullied kid in school. But when he's back with Juan and at his house, he seems to just like he's like a regular kid, and they treat him like a son. And he even makes fun of her. It makes fun of him. He's like, "Oh yeah, my girl has a crush on you." He teaches him.
That was cute.
Yeah, he teaches him not to sit with his back to the door. You know, some hood shit. Just like make sure that you're facing the door so you can see who's coming in.
Who's coming in? Right.
Yeah, and that's where he asks Juan. He's like, "What's a faggot?" And rather than
this is probably the best scene of the movie right here, coming up right here. Go ahead.
Yeah, because Juan plays this like very woke person about the whole gay issue. You'd think this guy who's a drug dealer is going to be like, well, a faggot is a dude who sucks dick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he's very like calm with it, and he's like, well, that's just a name that people that don't like gay people call them. And he's just like, am I a faggot? And he's just like, or am I mean, I don't know, does he ask if I am a faggot? I think he does.
Right, right. And Teresa, played by Janelle Monáe, is like, if you're not, you probably don't know yet. You probably won't know till you're older. And,
right.
And Juan concurs. Said, yeah, you probably don't know yet. Only you will know in time if you're gay, but you're not a faggot. If you're gay, right, you'll know in time. Yeah. And
they totally accept him for what his decision will be. So they're not like trying to get him to be either one.
Is this the same scene where Chiron asks him why do you deal drugs?
I think so, because
he breaks down and starts crying. Which
yeah.
Is this is the scene that won him the Oscar right here.
Right.
Because he realizes the damage he's doing to his community, and he probably never thought about it until this young man that he has bonded with, a father-son relationship, asked him point blank, why do you deal drugs? Why do you sell drugs?
It's tough because he's taking care of this kid because, well, if it wasn't him, it would be another guy, but he's the one supplying the drug that's fucking up his mom, so that's the guilt. But then we get a time jump, and he's still in class.
Unfortunately, that's the last that you'll see of Juan, as we'll find out when Chiron, as we do the time jump, like you mentioned, he finds out. We find out that Juan has been killed, but we don't know why and by whom.
Right.
And by the way, so we transitioned from Alex Hibbert to Ashton Sanders. Ashton Sanders, another great young actor. And there is a movie currently on HBO, and I forgot about this movie when we were doing Black History Month, but we can always talk about this movie down the road. Ashton Sanders stars in a remake of a classic movie called Native Son, where he plays this young adult black man who gets falsely accused of rape, a la Monty in Daddy's Little Girls. Great movie called Native Son. It's on HBO. It's a remake. It was made last year. I remember the 1986 version, which was starring Oprah Winfrey. So yeah, this is a very good movie. I would highly recommend everybody to watch it. This young man is the star of that movie. So we continue.
So it's based on the novel, right?
Right.
The novel.
Based on the novel, right? The acclaimed novel. Yes.
Right. Okay. So we go to the time jump, and they're still teasing him. And at this point, they're saying, "Oh,
but
he
this
has
time
woman
it's become very violent." And I think the reason why it's become very violent is Juan is no longer the picture, so he doesn't have Juan's protection.
Right. Juan Juan is, well, it's not like he has, did he even protect him? I mean, he was more or less like dealing with the shit on his own. At one
No, but I'm
point,
thinking when you see Juan crying and stuff, I think you take that and you can assume that from that moment on, all right, we're not going to bully. If we fuck with him, we got to deal with the wrath on Juan. But once Juan is gone, that wrath is no longer there. I mean, right here now in high school, they're really laying on thick. And that bastard with the dreadlocks, man, fuck him.
My God.
Yeah.
He's the worst. And
he's the worst.
So he's saying, like, oh, yeah, this guy got woman problems. He's definitely implying that he's gay. And everybody seems to think that he is, even though he's never really done anything to demonstrate it. It's just because he's never done
anything with anybody. He's just kept his mouth shut.
Right. So he's like, I'll be waiting for you later, motherfucker, as he leaves the class.
After that incident in the classroom, he gets up. I'm waiting for you after school. He looks through the window and he sees this asshole with his crew waiting for him so they could jump him. He runs into his friend Kevin, played by the Emmy Award-winning recently When They See Us, Jarrell Jerome, who's just as great in this episode, and Jarrell Jerome, who plays Kevin, the teenage Kevin, and you could tell there's a bond between Kevin and Chiron, and he's telling Chiron about his latest conquest, and I don't know.
He's lying.
I think, yeah. He's not. Yeah, he is lying. He is lying.
Yeah, he's full of shit.
He's full of shit because you see a scene where he's humping a girl from the back, but it was actually Chiron dreaming about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's right.
But you could see the bond between Kevin and Chiron, and then later on they're sitting together, and this is where they both have their first sexual experience where the boys make out, and I think Kevin jerks off Chiron. Yeah,
he jerks him off, and it's his first sexual experience and the only time that he ever touches a guy.
Yes. I think the only time I think the only time he's ever been intimate with anybody, male or female. That's the only time. Yeah, that's it. And then the next scene is the scene that is the worst scene of the movie. It's just horrific. Kevin is having lunch with is in the lunchroom eating with the bully, and the bully's like, yeah, remember when you used to play Knock Me Down, knock the game knockdown? I'm going to pick somebody, and then you're going to do the same thing to him. Of course, since he has hatred for Chiron, he picks Chiron. Kevin punches him a few times, and Kevin is telling Chiron, stay down, because he doesn't want to do it, but he peer pressure. The third time he punches Chiron, that asshole and his crew start beating the hell out of Chiron, and this really disturbed me. This really pissed me off. Security comes, the boys run, and they leave it to this young man to press charges. No! Security saw who fucking did it. Make the arrest. I hate this is true all the time, but this happens all the time in inner city schools. I hate it. I hated it. The social worker / guidance counselor is badgering him. Oh, you gotta make. He's like, what? What do you don't understand? Great acting by Ashton Sanders, as he's just all these years of pent up frustration and hurt from being bullied. And this movie is an incredible movie on bullying. One of the best movies you'll ever see on the effects of bullying. And the guy at the school knows who did this shit. Arrest those kids. No, they let it go. Oh, you got to press charges, or these 4 boys are going to get away with it. So what did Chiron do?
Back. Wait, hold on. Before you go to, we should talk about actually some of the bullying that occurs a little bit before this incident. When he's walking to Juan's house, they start making fun of him and saying like, "Oh, you fucking Juan's."
Oh yeah, well, this Juan is dead at the time, so it's like, "Oh, you banging Teresa?"
Right.
I had
She's
her.
fine.
I had your mother too. I had your mother too. Oh my
they
God,
fucking tell him, and it's probably true, that his mom sucks dicks for crack, and it's real cheap, just like one rock.
It's no doubt true. It's no doubt true. Yeah.
So then there's the scene of his mama trying to get into his own house because she lost her key, and she starts rummaging through his shit and like basically shakes him down for cash.
She takes the money that Teresa gave him. Right.
And you could just see the nightmare that he's in with this, like his mom is just a fiend. She doesn't give a shit about him at all. All she wants is the next hit. And so he's dealing with that.
Chiron is dealing with problems at home, problems at school. There's no escape from. The only time he can escape is when he's with Teresa. His life is fucked up. I mean, it's just tragic.
And also, even though he hates his mom and all this, when people start talking shit about his mom, he's just like, that's when he speaks up. Yeah, and he's just like, fuck y'all. And then that's when they fucking decide, okay, we're going to get this other dude to punch you. Because they already they fuck with him too, and they bully this other kid, Kevin. And so, then they have that whole incident there. And then you were saying how the school administrators are far from helpful. So then he gets suspended, or he gets sent home, and then he comes back.
I love this scene. My favorite scene in the movie. He bashes the chair and just.
He comes back in walking tall, man.
I love that. I was in the movie theater screaming. I was screaming, "Fuck him up! Fuck him up!"
This is like pro wrestling. Like after the baby face got beat up, he comes back with a house of fire with a chair, like smashes it over the heels back.
Very similar to last week when we talked about Monty getting revenge on the drug dealer that beat his daughter.
Total wrestling angle here. Perfect. But that's what made wrestling great, because they put heat on the heel, and then they bring in the baby face, and everybody would want to see this. And so when he finally does smash that chair, I didn't think he was going to do that. I thought he was just going to be a confident kid from now on.
I thought he was going to just swing at him. I thought he was going to punch him. But he picked up the chair, and he almost killed this kid.
Yeah.
But
so it looks like that sent him into juvenile detention.
Yeah. And then now you do the time leap where he comes out of prison 6-7 years later, relocates to Atlanta, Georgia, where he becomes his surrogate father. He becomes a drug dealer. And he's a drug dealer because he's talking about trap houses. Trap houses are the Atlanta version of crack houses. Trap houses are houses where people go in and smoke their dope, their cocaine, sniff their cocaine, shoot up their heroin, drink their lean, whatever drug they have, they go in these houses just like the crack houses. And he's making money doing that, and he's changed persona, Logan. He's in a new city.
Oh, he's
now,
ripped.
Look at him. He's
huge.
I mean, and Trevante Rhodes is a good-looking dude. I mean, he's got no problems in real life getting women. So they picked the right dude to play this guy who's ripped.
Did we do a movie with this guy?
Bird Box.
Yeah, that's right.
He was the star of Bird Box with Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, he was. We were talking about his physique in that one. So he's fucking strong.
He's only 30 years old, so he's got a long career ahead of him.
I mean, I think he could really do action movies. He
could do it all, but he's a tremendous dramatic actor, as shown here in Bird Box. But he's got the built to be a superhero, to be a Marvel or DC guy.
Totally.
He should be the next Green Lantern. He's got the build for it.
Yeah, he could. So even though he's this hardcore drug kingpin, a lot like his mentor, Juan.
Like Juan, yes.
When he accuses this kid of being short, and the kid kind of talks back to him, and he starts saying, "Nah, man, it's like, you're short. You call me a liar?" And we think that he's turned real hard, that he's about to fuck with this kid, but it turns out he's trying to teach the kid a lesson.
He handles it the way Juan would.
And he basically says, look, you can't be out here on the corner unless you know when somebody's fucking with you or not. And he's like, I'm trying to teach you that with this little thing here. And the kid kind of understands. So that was an interesting scene, tense scene that he lets the air out by laughing and telling him that he was just joking around. So then we see that he's home. He's kind of like, you can tell he's not all right in the head. Even though he's dealing drugs, he's doing okay for himself. He's tormented. And he gets a call from Kevin after like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell his shyness comes right back when he's on the phone with Kevin. It's like he becomes the kid. And you could tell from his acting that he studied the movements of the kid. And he almost, that's how you know.
They all three actors act the same way. It's unreal.
It's amazing.
You don't see that in Hollywood. Every time you don't see that.
Since
we love when they see us, right? But
right.
You got the young kid that plays Kevin, and then you got the big guy that plays Kevin. They don't look alike. They don't have the same mannerisms. This movie, all three actors is like they studied each other, and great directing by Barry Jenkins because he got it out these kids.
Yeah, amazing. And so he's talking to Kevin. He's like, yeah, I'm in Atlanta now. And the other, Kevin's like, I'm a cook. And he's like, well, why did you call me after all this time? And he's like, well, this dude came in, put a song on the jukebox, and it reminded me of you. And we find out what that song is later.
Mm-hmm.
He goes visits his mom at rehab, and it looks like she's got like a permanent residency there at this point. She's cured, but she's kind of resigned to just stay there and help people who have gone through the same thing.
Right.
And at this point, she breaks down and apologizes for all the way that she was and tries to get him to talk a little bit about, his problems, and he really can't. He just kind of gives her a hug, but it is a touching scene that kind of resolves their conflict.
He's been through hell with this woman. This woman put him through a lot. You can't expect, for this to be, and I love how realistic this movie is. You can't expect one visit, your mother's clean, everything's fine, I'm going to open up. No, there's years of healing that has to occur before that can occur.
And this scene is real tough to watch, and great acting on both sides. She's an old woman now, and she plays it to a T. Like, it doesn't even look like old age makeup, but
she
very well.
She was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this role. Naomi Harris, tremendous actress. She played Winnie Mandela in Mandela. Recently, she was in a great movie with Tyrese called Black and Blue. Naomi Harris, tremendous actress.
Yeah. So he goes and sees Kevin. He drives back to Florida, and he finds where Kevin's working, and he goes in and sits down. And Kevin, when he finally sees him, is just like, wow. Like, he doesn't recognize him at first. He's like, man, why didn't you say anything? And you can tell that Kevin is totally, like, shy. He still feels the same way that he did when he was a kid around that guy, and they had their first, experience together. Kevin says something interesting. He just looks at him for a long time. They both look at each other, and he's like, we're here now, almost as if to say, we made it. Like, after all the bullshit we went through, here we are, and we're fine. So kind of like trying to reassure him. But you could tell that this kid, he's still a kid inside, and he hasn't really developed fully his emotional. So he's silent in the same way that he was at the beginning of the movie. He doesn't want to talk.
Exactly.
He's just sitting there. And in a way, Kevin plays the role of Juan in that part of the movie. He admits that he's been trapping, i.e. dealing drugs, and he asks him, he's like, why did you call me? And he's like, well, It's this song that somebody played, and it was "Hello Stranger." Who sings this? That?
Barbara
Who
Lewis.
sings
And a
this?
great fucking
Oh, Barbara
song.
Lewis.
Barbara Lewis, and it's a great song. Great
Sad song. It's all about just remembering a moment with somebody when you were a stranger, when we first met. You know, it's just kind of like, and if for some reason that's like a song that reminded him of Sharon.
Sharon. That's and Sharon admits to Kevin that it was the only time he was ever intimate with anybody, with a man, boy, female, girl, whatever. That was the only time he was intimate with anybody.
Yeah, well, they go home. And they're driving home, and he's like, "So where are you going to stay tonight?" And he just kind of turns up the music, doesn't want to answer. So when they get there, he's still silent.
I was hoping that we was going to see more fine-ass Teresa.
Well, no.
Yeah.
It talks about how he has a kid, but he's not with the woman anymore, but he's still friendly with her. And
he takes care of the boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that he has the job, he's out on parole. He has another 18 months of probation for his various crimes. We don't really know what happened to him, but he had a life of crime prior to that. But he's just like, now that I have this job, I have the kid, I don't make a lot of money, but I'm happy, like Bob Marley. Don't worry about a thing. He's like, well, what about you, man? Like, what's your deal? And when he tells him that he's dealing drugs, he's just like, just is what it is. He's like, nah, man, that isn't what it is. That's not you. He's trying to, talk some sense into him and be like, look, man, you don't have to do this shit. He explains, he's like, listen, when we moved to Atlanta, I started over. I built myself from the ground up. I built myself strong. And he's like, what about you? And he's like, Kevin says, I just kept on, man. I never was worth shit. And I think he always felt terrible about that incident where he was forced to punch Devon. Yeah.
Guilt.
And he's just like, but so I kind of he basically says, instead of you, what you did was you became hard. I just let myself keep getting pushed around. I never really did what I wanted to do. I always did what other people wanted me to do. And look where it ended up. I ended up in prison, and now I'm out. So finally, I'm living my life, the life I was meant to live. That's when Sharon opens up, and he's like, look, man, I never touched any other man I never touched anyone besides you. And so you think they're going to have some like gay love scene here, but no. He just puts his head on his shoulder and puts his arm around him and holds him, and that's the end of the movie. Very touching. And we see a shot of when he was a kid, because it kind of just comes full circle. And
by where Juan taught him how to swim.
So he feels that warmth again that he felt when he was
with Juan. Yeah.
With Juan. So all is good, and it was a nice end for the movie. Very delicate subject matter, and homosexuality, and just dealing with it in today's society.
Homosexuality and bullying. And the first movie I ever saw, Logan, where both those subjects were broached and dealt with tremendously. I just love this movie. The acting in it is phenomenal. The directing is phenomenal. The script was great. Only qualm I have is I wanted more of Mahershala Ali, but that's me. That's a personal want that I wanted because he was so charismatic, so great. Yeah. Ali, the last 5 years, Ali is on a run that is incredible. We have this movie, Moonlight, which he won an Oscar. Green Book, which he won an Oscar. True Detective, which he got a million nominations for. Emmy. He lost to Jarrell Jerome for the Emmy for a miniseries, which is they both were in Moonlight. Talk about our irony. Luke
what was
Cage,
the miniseries?
He was the single best actor in Luke Cage as Cottonmouth. He was sensational. And very, very similar to his character as One, where he was this bad guy who was so charismatic that you were like, damn, man, I like this guy. He's evil, but I like him.
Well, he wasn't evil in this movie.
There was no redeeming qualities about him in the Real Roxanne movie. He was a bastard in that movie, but he was great.
Yeah,
he was great in that movie. He's great in everything he does. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying he wasn't evil in this movie at all. He was just a drug dealer. I guess that's evil.
Right, but I mean, he was doing evil. He was doing an evil act.
Right.
But he wasn't. Well, when it came to Juan, and you saw the way he treated his woman, he looked like any father that had a 9-to-5 job, except his 9-to-5 was selling drugs.
Well, anyway, so this movie was obviously a great movie. It won the Academy Award. It got robbed of its moment because of this dumbass reading the wrong name, but still, that doesn't change anything. It was the winner of the 2016 Academy Award.
It was a 2016 Best Picture, Oscar-winning Best Picture.
So definitely deserved it, especially over La La fucking Land. Give me a break. That's gonna win. Fucking joke.
Oh my God.
We're not going to be reviewing that movie in this show. So,
ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of people out there that have never seen that movie. And there's a lot of people listening that have problems sleeping at night, that have insomnia. If you want a cure for insomnia, put that movie on. Within 10 minutes.
You try to watch it?
I tried to watch it one time because I love Ryan Gosling's a great actor. He's one of my favorite actors. So I figured I'd watch it. Twice I tried to watch it, and both times I fell asleep within 5 minutes.
It's like a lullaby.
Yeah.
All the singing.
Definitely, if you have insomnia, that movie will cure you of your insomnia.
That's great. All right, so are we going to Rich Man, Poor Man finally?
Okay, we're going to take off next week because I want to rewatch the entire series. Because I saw the entire series a couple of months ago, but I want to rewatch it for it to be fresh in my mind, and it's 22 episodes. So, and we're doing the final episode.
Me too.
So, no Logan's movie reviews next week. We'll just be doing a boxing show. In 2 weeks, we come back with my favorite miniseries of the 1970s when miniseries ruled. Back then, you had Rich Man, Poor Man, Book 1 and Book 2. You had Shogun. You had Roots. You had all these great miniseries, legendary miniseries. This was my favorite, and one of the greatest episodes in television history is the final episode. And one thing I want to add, this book, the guy who wrote this book, Irwin Shaw, he totally ripped off the Kennedys. This is the Kennedys, man. This miniseries, the book, everything was based on the Kennedys. You look at the Irish family, poor at the beginning, then they rise to power. It's the Kennedys.
Yeah. It is. It's great. It's great. I loved it. I watched the first book already, and I watched the second book too. So, but it was a while back, so I should read.
And this miniseries, the first chapter, Book 1, catapulted and brought to attention the world of one of the greatest actors of the last 45 years, the great Nick Nolte.
Yeah. I mean, he's fallen off recently, but he's done some great work in his heyday.
His body of work is legendary. He's an acting legend. I mean, you can't continue to churn. I mean, he's had so many classics, it's not funny. He's one of my 10 favorite actors of all time, and you can make an argument that he's top 20 all time as far as being a Hollywood actor in the roles that he's done. And Rich Man, Poor Man is the show, the miniseries that put his career on the map. And after that, he had steady work for 40 years.
He sure did. So we'll be looking at that in 2 weeks. One Silverman, thanks again. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.
All right, enjoy your week coming up, big man. Later.
Same to you, man. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Peace.